Hey everybody, welcome to week 8. You are almost halfway done with the class, so congratulations. And next week is spring break, for what that's worth. I know it feels like it should be right now. It's been so warm, but you get the week off next week, so there'll be no assignments. It'll be a good break for you to just sort of get your head out of the game. Hopefully, with things lightening up a little bit, you can, go do some fun things and relax and enjoy being outdoors and all that good stuff. So this week we're going to change paths a little bit. I know I keep sort of building every time and saying, hey, here's what we're doing. We've come from here to here to here, but it keeps going. So if you remember, we go back. We got the blues and ragtime and jazz into rhythm and blues and into rock and roll. And then from rock and roll, we went into teen idol pop and soul and Motown and the British invasion and America's response to the British invasion. And so we've really been following this thread all the way through. Now we're going to jump back in time and move us back up and sort of get everything caught, or not sort of, but get everything caught up together. Just a quick aside, I hope that you're reading the comments. I try to help you in these videos to give you some pointers, some direction on your assignments, and some of you aren't hitting it. So on your reflection observations, please put the topic at the top. Again, I do that for you, to help you. I already know what it is. I want you to read it one last time before you answer and say, hey, am I actually answering what he's put out there? So take the time to do that, to think about it with the discussions as well. Sometimes, I don't think any of these questions are particularly difficult, but sometimes you got to think a bit through them to get to what I'm asking. So it's not always surface level. And remember that if you're ever unsure, you can always reach out to me, message me in Canvas and say, hey, Shane, I'm not quite sure if this is what you're looking for. Does this seem right to you? I will tell you. You can do that before you even answer. I'm not going to read it and grade it and all that sort of stuff, but I can either tell you, yeah, you're on the right track, or no, you're not on the right track. Please understand, I want you all to just do great in this class. I would love nothing more than a class full of A's. That would be fabulous. It doesn't ever work out that way, but that's not because it's not what I want. So I am here to help you. So as I mentioned, we're going to jump back in time because we haven't really talked about folk music. It came up a little bit, and folk music, I had read this book years ago on country music and things like that, and the way that folk music was explained was that it was the music of the folks, regular people sort of going about their day-to-day life. And so folk music actually covers a huge category, and folk music is global. Every culture in the world has some sort of music. Every culture has cultural ritual music, and most every culture has folk music. And folk music could be music to tell stories, music to dance to, music to, celebrate with and be sad with and all of that. It sort of is the music in our day-to-day world. Now, the music that most of us listen to, it still fits under pop music. Remember, pop music is really geared towards making money. So folk music has more of a social function. We don't see that as much here, sort of in Western, American culture. We don't really see a whole lot of folk music, although it's out there. You got to dig a little bit. But there is folk music with indigenous people, with Latino people, with most everybody has folk music somewhere back in the history. Just sort of depends on how far we are separated from it. So we're going to jump back in time to start learning about the origins of folk music, which really come from Europe. They come from Western Europe, from England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, in terms of the folk music here. As people emigrated here to the United States, of course, they bring their music with them. That's what cultures do. And so the ballad songs, the murder ballads, the songs that told of news of the day, love songs, unrequited love songs, These all come along with it. So you're going to start learning about that and the roots of folk music. And then folk music is really connected to working class people, working people. And so there's always an affinity and a connection to reflecting the music of the common man, to the extent that folk music often helps to sort of provide an outlet for those that are unfortunate or disenfranchised or oppressed. It comes from there. So the blues is folk music. Creole music is folk music. Country music, the roots of country music is in folk music. So we learned about country music before. So folk music is all sorts of things. So you're going to learn about Woody Guthrie, who is really considered to be like the father of American folk music. And if you're not sure if you know who he is, if you know the song, This Land Is Your Land, that is written by Woody Guthrie. And what you'll learn is that that song is not a sort of patriotic song. What that song is about is saying, hey, this land belongs to all of us. And so it shouldn't just be for the rich. It shouldn't just be for the powerful. It's for everybody. So it was really, again, aligned to the working class folks. And you're going to learn about the Almanac Singers and the Weavers. And then you're going to get to Bob Dylan. And Bob Dylan is a huge game changer in American music history and globally now. He started off as what we call a folk artist. He actually started off playing rock and roll, in Minnesota even before that. He became a folk artist and then moved to New York so that he could meet Woody Guthrie and started performing in the coffee houses and then got signed to Columbia in 1962. So same time that the Beatles started to do their thing over in England. And then he quickly rose to fame by touring with Joan Baez. And then in 1965, he went electric. If you remember, 1964 is when the Beatles and Dylan met, and Bob Dylan basically said to them, hey, you don't write any songs about anything. Why don't you start writing things? And that's when the Beatles came out with Rubber Soul and songs like Norwegian Wood. And you can hear very much the Bob Dylan influence in there. So Bob Dylan had a profound impact on the Beatles, and the Beatles had a profound impact on Bob Dylan. And in 1965, he went electric and really changed the game, because the viewpoint amongst the folk people and other folks was that rock and roll was just sort of like mindless teenage music. And you couldn't do anything that had any serious merit to it. And what Bob Dylan was said, no, you can use the vehicle of rock and roll and still talk about significant things in a very poetic way. The thing also that's important about folk music is that folk music is very much about the words. So whereas other styles of music, it may be more about the melody and all of that kind of stuff, in folk music, the words are the most important thing. So you may not have the biggest melodic lines. You may not even have the greatest singers. Bob Dylan was certainly not a great singer by sort of vocal standards, but he could convey from the heart what he was writing. It's amazing to think that artists like Bob Dylan and John Lennon and Jimi Hendrix would never make it on American Idol or The Voice or any of that, because they had very distinctive voices, and that wasn't the pop sound that they were going for. So you're going to learn about that. You're going to learn about the influence that Bob Dylan had on folk rock, and you're going to learn about the genre of folk rock. Later, you'll actually learn about Bob Dylan when we get to the chapter on country rock and jazz rock, because he basically started country rock as well. He's one of the few artists that actually shows up in multiple chapters. James Brown is another one. So you're going to learn about folk rock, where rock and folk combine, and then you're going to learn about the singer-songwriters. And so folk was very outward, looking at the world and commenting on the world around it most of the time, although Bob Dylan could do whatever he wants. Bob Dylan can still do whatever he wants. And then folk rock sort of married the sound of rock and roll with the depth of folk, and you have this new genre with bands like the Byrds and other folks like that, the Mamas and the Papas. And then you get the singer-songwriters. And the singer-songwriters took the acoustic sounds from folk music, but then they wrote introspectively. So it was more about the personal things that they were going through. So where you might get in folk music a lot of yous and theys, in singer-songwriters you might get a lot of me and I and us and we, because it's a very personal thing. So this week, I want you to be thinking about artists that are out there that have continued this legacy. And I will tell you they are out there. I can pretty much guarantee you that when I ask you a question of, is anybody doing anything like this today? Or do you see any connection today? It is there. And if you're not finding it, do some digging. Don't just settle for what you know. Don't just say, well, this is the music I like, and then I'll learn what Shane teaches us, but that's kind of it. Dig in deeper. There's a lot of amazing stuff that's out there. So that is that. And I think that'll be enough to kind of get you on track. Remember, I'm here to help. So you've got a normal week coming ahead, and then you got spring break. When we come back, we'll jump into the second half of the class, test 2, at the end, test 3. So if you have questions, please reach out to me. And here's your question that I want you to reply to, which is, what is Bob Dylan's birth name? Okay, so reply to this announcement underneath with Bob Dylan's birth name. Get that right. Get it done by noon on Thursday, and you'll get those 10 points. So that's it. If you have questions, please reach out. I noticed some of you with your discussions, maybe you're not doing your original post. You're just replying to people. Or maybe you're doing your original post and you're not replying to people. Or maybe you're just sort of missing the mark on the question. Let me know, and I will help. Okay? That's it. Have a great week. Keep cool. Have fun. And we'll connect soon.